This is Murder in the Morning with Tony Bruschi and Stacey Cole.
Well, it's Stacey Cole and Carol Hughes. We've been hanging out this week. Tony is on vacation, and we've been having a good time talking about horrible people.
I know.
Like we always do.
Every day, there's more horrible people to talk about. You know, it's interesting because you always think that is one of the most horrific stories I've ever heard until the next day. Then there's another one just as horrific and another one. And it's like, my God, people are capable of horrible shit.
And the thing that I always say to Tony is these people walk amongst us. You know, when you're at the gas station filling up, you're at Quick Trip. Quick Trip is our big thing around here where I am in Wisconsin.
Me too. I love them so much.
You're sitting there and there's a car next to you and you're looking and you make eye contact with the person and they could have a body in the back of their car. You know?
Mm-hmm. You don't have any idea.
I don't want to sound like that, but
I can't, you can't even wrap your brain around what people are capable of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just horrible. And this is actually the story we're going to do. The first one is a Wisconsin story. It's about the Slender Man case, basically, if you remember that. A Wisconsin woman who nearly killed a classmate at age 12 in an infamous attack inspired by the fictional character Slender Man will be conditionally released from a psychiatric hospital. More than a decade later, a judge ruled Thursday. Morgan Geyser, now 22 years old, has been confined to the Winnebago Mental Health Institute since she was found not criminally responsible for the 2014 stabbing of her friend Payton Leutner. It's Leutner, right? It's been a while since I've done that story.
Leutner or Leutner, I'm not sure.
I want to say Leutner, but I could be wrong. And being here in Wisconsin, I should know how this is pronounced. So please, people, forgive me. I will tell you this. When this story happened, it was 2014. I was working in radio at the time. I ignored this story. I just let our newsroom touch it because it bothered me so much. So
yeah, I get it.
If you hear me mispronouncing it, it's probably because I've blocked it out of my head. So forgive me if I'm pronouncing Payton's last name wrong. So give me a little grace there, okay? This happened in Waukesha. On Thursday, Waukesha County Circuit Judge Scott Wagner signed off on a new conditional release plan developed by the Department of Health Services. The plan comes after an earlier version was rejected in April over concerns raised by Leutner's family, including that Geyser's proposed group home was located just 8 miles from their residence. The exact details and timing of Geyser's release have not been made public for safety and privacy reasons. Her attorney did not immediately respond to requests for comment. So here is the story, the one that I avoided desperately. On May 31st, 2014, Geyser and her friend Anissa Wire, both 12 at the time, it has to be Leutner. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, lured her into the woods at David's Park following a sleepover. There, Geyser stabbed her 19 times with a kitchen knife while Wire encouraged her. One of the stab wounds narrowly missed her heart. Severely injured, she managed to crawl to a nearby bike path where a passerby found her and called for help. She miraculously survived the attack after emergency surgery and weeks of recovery. The motive, according to investigators, was absolutely chilling. Geyser and Wire believed that murdering her would please the Slender Man, a fictional internet character, and prove themselves worthy to become his proxies. They feared that if they didn't comply, Slender Man would harm their families. After the stabbing, the two girls began walking toward northern Wisconsin, claiming they were trying to find Slender Man's mansion, which they believed was in the Nicolet National Forest. They were arrested hours later on I-94 in nearby Waukesha County.
It's so, I can't, they were 12. That's the only thing I keep telling myself. They were 12, and I guess they believed this story. Somehow, I don't get how they thought this was actual reality, and both of them believed it.
I wonder if you don't recall what Slender Man was. It's a fictional character created by Eric Knudsen in 2009 on the Something Awful web forum. It's designed as a faceless, tall, spidery figure in a black suit who abducts children. Although fictional, the character became a viral urban legend, spawning countless stories, fan art, video games, and even a 2018 horror film. So it's easy for kids to get sucked into stories. especially when they're
And
12.
you have
But
to
at
keep
some
telling
point-
yourself they were 12. But what they did
But
was so
12
horrific. It was
But 12-year-old,
absolutely
Carol,
horrific.
12 years old to me feels like you should be able to step back and go, well, that's some fucked up thinking. I can't do that.
You know, I think when you're 12, though, too, you are so impressionable. And if you have one friend who is telling you this is true, and you know how you get together and you've got that one best friend and you're all the time talking and
Yes.
working on stuff together and plans and all these things. And if between the two of you, you convince yourselves this is all real and we have to do this for some reason, I just don't. And you and I will never be able to understand the logic behind this horrific crime.
No.
Because it makes no sense to us. It makes no sense to anyone. And, you know, it's just something I feel very conflicted about because they were 12 at the time of the crime. Serving 10 years in a mental facility doesn't really feel like punishment, but that is punishment for a 12-year-old. That is almost half of her life has been spent in this mental institute.
You know,
maybe
and
she's
did they
gotten
do their
better.
job with her.
Yeah. You know, has she learned from this? What is her mental health like now? I think those are valid questions. I'm sure the family has had conversations with the court about this. It just doesn't seem, 10 years doesn't seem like much of a sentence. But then, like I said, when that's almost 50% of her life, that's quite a bit of a sentence.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know how I feel about it. And the poor girl, you know, the fact that she survived this trauma and all the surgeries and the recovery and everything she had to go through, I feel so bad for her because this just has to bring it all back.
Yeah.
You know,
And the part that bothers me a lot, not just the crime, but these were her friends. This wasn't some random, you know, I'm assuming they were her friends. I mean, they lured her into the woods after a sleepover, so she had slept over at somebody's house. So how do you move on in life trusting people?
well, and then there's this other part of the story too that she was communicating with a man known to collect murderabilia. Is she really reformed? You know, is she still not thinking straight? Could she get out and do something else like this again? I don't know. So it's one of those, I just don't know how I feel about it. You know, I do strongly believe a 12-year-old should not be tried as an adult because a 12-year-old is not even kind of an adult.
Right.
Their brains don't think the same. They're not mature. They're children. You know, where that line is, 15, 16, maybe, I don't know. I just, they're kids. But man, this was a horrific crime.
It was. It's not like we had a, excuse me, a high school bully named Amber. I always make sure to use her real name, Amber. I watched her push a mentally challenged kid down the stairs. As bad as that was, it's not anything like this, but I've always thought that karma should come back and get her.
Mm-hmm.
I had to throw that in. There's a lot of young kids do horrible things. And I don't understand that mentality. I was a kid who put spiders outside, so I don't understand shoving somebody down the stairs or stabbing somebody or tripping people. I don't get that. I don't understand that.
And the other girl wire is out. She got out a few years back. Now she didn't do this actual stabbing part, but she was involved in it. Yeah, 100%.
So you're still a party to it.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't stop it. You didn't go, oh, okay, that's enough. We can't do this.
But then when you're 12, it's, here's the girl with the knife. Was she afraid too? I don't know. This is a story I've always had conflicted feelings about because of the age of all of the victims.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the crime committed was horrific. And I just don't feel like 10 years is enough. I just don't feel like you could leave someone for dead, which they did, without rendering her any aid. This poor girl had to crawl to a bike path, and a stranger helped her. They left her like that. And to me, 10 years just doesn't seem like enough.
I agree.
You're locked into the Hidden Killers podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.